This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. We talk about players being skilled as the more the better, usually, right? The more skills a player has, the more talent a player has, the better. But that's not always the case. Sometimes a player can be so talented at so many different things that it really makes it hard for whoever's in charge of developing that player to really pick where that player is going to excel, right? We see this with every guy who's been advertised as the top 10 draft pick Swiss Army knife guy, like Isaiah Simmons, still trying to figure it out in the NFL despite being so talented. And when it comes to the Cleveland Browns and David Njoku, it's a very similar thing. I think David Njoku was almost too talented for his own good because the Browns and David Njoku just could not figure out which mishmash of his wild skill set they could use most efficiently on the football field. In a way, David Njoku is like a buffet that has way too many options, like all kind of different cuisines, all kind of different food, all kind of different diets are accounted for, so much so that it's hard to make a decision on what you want to do or what's going to be the best thing to the best plate you could put together to get the best experience out of this buffet. It almost stops you from going to the buffet altogether because it's way too many choices. The picture isn't clear. And that's what it was with David Njoku. David Njoku is somebody who can jump 1,000,000 feet in the air. He can jump 1,000,000 feet across the room. He's 6'5". He's big. He has all these skill sets. He's faster than everybody would assume he is at that size. And it's hard to look at a dude like that, have him play tight end. He's also a good blocker, and figure out how exactly to use him the best. And I think for the longest time, the Browns and David Njoku felt like he was going to be a seam shooter and a 50-50 ball guy. So a seam shooter is basically a tight end who runs a lot of seam routes, right? He just goes up and down the seams. The seams are the hash marks on the field. Basically somebody who plays in the middle of the field a lot. Think of like a Pat Fryer move if you're wondering what a seam shooter is. I think that's what the Browns thought they were getting out of David Njoku, and maybe a 50-50 guy in the end zone. But that's not who David Njoku is. He can do those things, but he's not at his best when he's doing that. What the Browns and David Njoku found out is the best way to use him is as a downhill yak guy. And that's what he was as a tight end. 600 of David Njoku's 882 yards last year were after the catch, and he had an average depth of target of less than 5 yards. That was among the lowest in all of the AFC North. I mean, he is clearly used as a downhill yak guy. And this is not super traditional for a tight end, especially one of David's athletic profile, but it is something that is super useful. And I'm excited to see with the Browns' knowledge of this now and game data of using him in this way, how they can further use David's skill set in that downhill yak style to kind of open up other things for the offense. Just think about how David's presence just changes the defensive approach to something as simple as four vert, right? If you have David Njoku running underneath the four verts on the play, that means you have to pay attention to that if it's like not at the end of the game scenario, or you can have somebody be forced to be in a one-on-one tackle situation. It's just a tough bind that he puts your defense in simply by being out there and having that threat to explode if he gets downhill just a little bit. And that's what you want from David. Like if you're the Browns, you want to cook up as many ways to get David running the ball in his hand in a one-on-one tackle situation with the DB or a safety, because he has shown that he can win that. A lot of David's best plays last year weren't even designed. They were just David and stick catching the curl, running after it, right? Like that's something that he did really well last year. I also think David Njoku's emergence is why the Browns felt the need to go after somebody like Jerry Jeudy. If you run Njoku and Jeudy in the levels or a drive concept with Jeudy as the dig and Njoku as the drag, you also have the freedom to run Cooper and more on the outside. There's a lot of different things you can do with David Njoku and his presence to kind of force linebackers, DB, safeties into a bind and really work that slot tight end combo on the inside of the field for Deshaun Watson to get some easy yards. But let's look at the film for David Njoku and see why he was so special last year. One of the things I said in this video is that a lot of David Njoku's best plays feel like more of an extension of the run game or extended handoff than it does as a true part of the pass game. And that's not a negative thing. That's just an observation of how you use David Njoku and what down and distances he's probably going to be most effective in. Look here at this play, where this is like a tunnel screen to David Njoku, and you're just going to see when he's at his best is situations like this, right? Gets a tunnel screen. He gets to get downhill. Now there's a holding call all the way back here, I believe, on Wyatt Teller. It was really unnecessary. And then he gets downhill, and then he has this Derrick Henry-like burst where he can score. Same thing here. And again, let's actually run that back. Right. So you see how he can get downhill. You see the athletic ability when he gets down there, and you see what he can do. Right. So he turns, and then right here, you see he has a linebacker on him trailing. That guy does not stand much of a chance. Good blocks in the front. And he's fast enough to where if you do give him some space, he can just run away from guys. Big enough and strong enough, obviously, where he can just he can break some tackles. Again, this is another one where he feels like an extension of the run game. He's kind of just running a check down here, right? They design it to him, and the whole ideal of this design is, hey, let's isolate David Njoku. Let's get him in a situation where he can make a man miss and see what happens. It's almost like as the season went on, they realized that Elijah Moore wasn't going to be the Deebo Samuel clone that they wanted him to be, and they used David Njoku in some similar ways, obviously not end arounds and stuff like that, but in some similar ways to create the situations that they were trying to create with Elijah Moore, right? Put him one-on-one, get him in space, let him go downhill, because right here, you let him catch this ball downhill. There's no chance that that guy is going to be able to tackle him. And he's able to just get 15 easy yards right there. Similar thing happens here with David on this play. It's Deshaun Watson. And here he stays in blocks, throws short to him, and then boom, what does he have? He has a one-on-one situation with the linebacker. Make a man miss, right? Makes a man miss, and then now he's downhill. Once he's downhill, he's held to tackle, right? So he makes a man miss. And with a lot of guys getting downhill, it's about 3 or 4 steps, right? With David, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he's downhill. 4 steps. Now he's downhill. Now he's held to tackle. That's the template and how to use David Njoku. Again, that's been the issue with David, is that so many people have tried to use him as a traditional kind of very athletic tight end, or what you would dream a traditional very athletic tight end would be able to do. But David is more like, I don't want to say a slot receiver, but he's a yak guy, right? Like you're going to use him in yak-like situations. He also has the benefit of being a yak guy who can block, right? David's a really good blocker. He's going to be a really important tool for this offense, and I'm interested to see how the addition of not just Nick Chubb, but Jerry Jeudy adds to what the Browns have as far as options go in utilizing somebody like David Njoku. I think that's going to be real interesting to see. I think they have a lot of tools to play with. I think Ken Dorsey has a lot of tools to play with in that toy box. I'm interested to see what he pulls out here, because there's a lot there to scratch there with David Njoku. Njoku is more of an extension of the Browns' run game than he is like a true receiving threat. He's somebody who can go downfield, can be a downfield threat, but he's really at his best in first and second down situations, or if you can stay ahead of the sticks. Like if you're able to stay ahead of the sticks, if you're able to stay on schedule with the Browns offense, you're going to be able to use David Njoku a ton. But if you get behind the sticks, you're not going to have much use for David Njoku. So that's where I see a lot of the use for him being. And I think you add that on top of like a Nick Chubb who's coming back, Deshaun Watson and his running ability. And the Browns have a pretty nice recipe for a team that's going to be able to stay ahead of the sticks most of the time. And if they are, they're going to be pretty dangerous at that, just that combination of things right there. And I think that's going to be the foundation of the Browns offense, because now if David Njoku's in play, you can run things with Jerry Jeudy right behind him to get Jerry Jeudy open in the middle of the field. And now if the defense is worried about David and Jerry Jeudy, then less attention on Amari Cooper, less attention on Elijah Moore. Maybe they're going to blitz less, keep more guys in coverage. It means you get to get Elijah Moore downfield a little bit more often. It kind of opens up the whole game for the Cleveland Browns as time goes on. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Peace.